Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of Moment Center Dallas, we would like to wish everybody very welcome to the program. And tonight's program is especially a very special program. We're going to be commemorating the Wiladat of Bibi Masoom-e-Qum. And we are very blessed to have Brother Daniel here today. He will recite or start the program with the recitation of Holy Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Daniel.
Assalamu alaikum. I will begin with some Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا إنا أعتدنا للكافرين سلاسلا وأغلالا وسعيرا إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كفورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا فوقاهم الله شر ذلك اليوم ولقاهم نظرة وسرورا وجزاهم بما صبروا جنة وحريرا متكئين فيها على الأرائك لا يرون فيها شمسا ولا زمهريرا ودانية عليهم ظلالها وذللت قطوفها تذليلا ويطاف عليهم بآنية من فضة وأكواب كانت قواريرا صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على
Jazakallah, Brother Daniel. May Allah increase your tawfiqat and may always you be as smiling and prospering. We have an announcement to make. We just found out our brother Asad Abid, with a very heavy heart, his father just passed away in Pakistan. Would like to request all mu'mineen and mu'minat to request Surah Fatiha for Brother Sayyid Abid Askari, father of our brother Asad Abid, and our condolences to the family. Now, I would like to thank Brother Mir Zahir Ali, who will be joining us from Houston. Zahir bhai, thank you so much for taking out your some time for us for the manqabat out of your busy schedule. And without any delays, please go ahead and start the program. Jazakallah Zahir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. حاضرین محفل آپ کو کریم اہل بیت ہمشیر امام علی رضا علیہ السلام شہزادی دونوں جہان جناب فاطمہ معصوم قم کی ولادت و سعادت مبارک ہو. دعا کرتے ہیں کہ شہزادی ہماری اس حاضری کو قبول فرمائے. ایک ربائی شہزادی کے شان میں. اپنے بابا سے سنا اس نے جو باب زینب، اپنے بابا سے سنا اس نے جو باب زینب، اس کی رگ رگ میں اتر آیا لساب زینب. اپنے بابا سے سنا اس نے جو باب زینب، اس کی رگ رگ میں اتر آیا لساب زینب. دونوں بہنوں کا نہیں کوئی زمانے میں جواب، ایک معصوم خم اور ایک جناب زینب. ایک
واہ
معصوم
واہ،
خم
سبحان اللہ.
اور ایک جناب زینب. مسدس کے چند بند شہزادی کے شان میں. ذرا
بسم اللہ، بسم
سوچو، ذرا سمجھو کیا ان کی منزلت ہوگی. ذرا
واہ واہ
سوچو، ذرا سمجھو کیا ان کی منزلت ہوگی. گودے موسے کاظم میں جو بی بی پلی ہوگی.
واہ 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 واہ.
کہ جس کی تربیت زمین و زمان خود کرائیں لوگوں، رضائے سائے شفقت میں جو بی بی رہی ہوگی. تقی
سبحان
سے
اللہ.
علم سیکھا ہو، تقی کو جس نے پالا ہو، اور امام رضا سے علم سیکھا ہو، وہ اپنے دور کی زینب بھی زہرا بھی رہی ہوگی.
بے شک بے شک، واہ 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 واہ، کیا کہنے زیب ہے.
ایک اور ربائی معصوم خم کی شان میں. نور عصمت کا ہر سمت چھانے کو ہے، نور عصمت کا ہر سمت چھانے کو ہے، رات قدموں میں آنچل بچھانے کو ہے. آج کے دن مبارک ہو امام رضا، خم کے وادیوں میں معصوم خم آنے کو ہے.
واہ
خم کے
واہ واہ واہ.
وادیوں میں معصوم خم آنے کو ہے. چونکہ بی بی معصوم خم کی ولادت کا ہے تو ایک اور بہن بی بی زینب کے شان میں 4 مصرے پیش کرنا چاہوں گا. مولائے کائنات کی توقیر ہیں زینب، مولائے کائنات کی توقیر ہیں زینب، بانوئے محشر کی تصویر ہیں زینب. مولائے کائنات کی توقیر ہیں زینب، بانوئے محشر کی تفسیر ہیں زینب. بیٹی علی کی وارث تطہیر ہیں زینب، بیٹی علی کی وارث تطہیر ہیں زینب. ہاں کربلا کے بعد سے شبیر ہیں زینب. بہت
واہ
قیمتی
واہ
بہت
واہ
قیمتی
واہ،
مصرع
سبحان
ملاحظہ
اللہ.
فرمائیں. بیٹی علی کی وارث تطہیر ہیں زینب، ہاں کربلا
سبحان
کے
اللہ.
بعد سے شبیر ہیں زینب. پڑھ کے خطبہ حیدر کی آکاش بن گئی، زینب دربار شام میں عباس بن گئی.
واہ 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 واہ، کیا کہنے
محمد
زیب ہے،
والے
کیا کہنے.
محمد صلوات.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وسلم.
مسدس کے چند بند استاد صفت جعفر صاحب کے کلام کے ترنم میں. کوئی جانے بھلا کیا ہے یہ عظمت معصوم-e-قم کی، کوئی جانے بھلا کیا ہے یہ عظمت معصوم-e-قم کی. خدا ہی جانتا ہے منزلت معصوم-e-قم کی. ہے یہ بھی فاطمہ ان کا لقب، معصوم-e-قم ہے. مسدس کس قدر ہے شخصیت معصوم-e-قم کی. انہیں معصوم آئمہ بھی کہتے تھے معصومہ، انہیں معصوم آئمہ بھی کہتے تھے معصومہ. یہ عظمت دیکھیے زینب صفت معصوم-e-قم کی. کوئی جانے بھلا کیا ہے یہ عظمت معصوم-e-قم کی. خدا ہی جانتا ہے منزلت معصوم-e-قم کی. bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjal farajahum.
मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ अली
MashaAllah.
मोमिन मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ मोमिन सेंटर का जो मुझे इस अच्छे मौके पर चांस दिया था पढ़ने के लिए शुक्रिया
Naini Zaibai, thank you so much for taking out the time and giving us this opportunity. बीबी
माशाल्लाह
मासूम-ए-क़ौम आपके सब अहले बैत आपके कबूल करें, आपकी इस सादत को और आपकी इस नौकरी को, और मोमेंट सेंटर डैलस की तरफ से आपके बहुत शुक्रगुजार हैं इसके लिए, आज के लिए. Now with any more no more delays, I would like to, before I request Shaykh Amin Rastani to come again. I'd like to announce with a heavy heart that our brother Asad Abid, his father passed away in Pakistan. Our sincere condolences to the family, and would like to request Surah Fatiha from all Mu'mineen for his father. His name was Sayyid Abid Askari. May Allah increase his darajat and give the whole family sabr. Sheikh, Bismillah, would like to request you to please enlighten us tonight with this great occasion. And Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Before I begin, I would also like to express my condolences to Brother Asad. We had heard that his father was struggling, if I'm not mistaken, with the virus, and unfortunately this news has come. I have heard that his father was a wonderful man, and may Allah bless him, and may Allah resurrect him with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi and Ali Muhammad on these auspicious days of Bibi Masoom-e-Qum's wiladat, and also in the upcoming days of Imam al-Rida's wiladah. We pray that Allah blesses his soul and forgives any sins. Yes,
Ilahi Ameen.
but having said that, also at the same time we have this wiladat, and my congratulations to the brothers and sisters on the wiladat of Bibi Masooma in this month of Dhul Qa'dah. Wherever you look, wherever you in the Middle East, you'll find that, and even further than that, you find or across the Muslim lands of the past, you will find the children of and the descendants of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam buried here and there, scattered like pearls across the Muslim lands of the past. When you go to Iran, for example, you'll find a lot of small harams and shrines, different cities and mountainous regions everywhere, where they've been able to identify descendants of the Holy Prophet. And these are descendants of the Imams, which are referred to as Imamzadas. And whether it's in Iraq, Iran, even east of Iran, in other countries as well, you might find some of these shrines. And this shows that promise of Allah to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that the Holy Prophet's progeny will continue and the progeny of his enemies is going to be cut short. You find that this promise has been fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But out of all of these Imamzadas, out of all of these descendants of the Holy Prophet and the Imams, as we all know, there are 2 or 3 that stand out more than all the other ones. About 3 or 4 maybe you can say. At the top of that list, of course, is Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, a descendant of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, who was the son of an Imam Zada, of course, but not one of the 14 Ma'sumin, which has that high rank. You can say after him, the next in line would be a person like Bibi Masoom-e salawatullahi alayha, who in that famous line, it says that those who are looking for the grave of Fatima az-Zahra alayha salam in Medina can find something similar in Qum, buried in Qum. She, of course, is a light and a source of blessings in the holy city of Qum. And I don't want to even say the holy city of Qum. She is the origin of blessings for really the world, as some of our ulama have explained and said. One of those blessings, one of those, we can say, fruits of her existence, even after her passing, is the establishment of the Hawza of Qum. Without a doubt, our ulama say that she is the reason. And if, inshallah, if I have time in the end, towards the end of the speech, I will share with you some of these sayings of these great ulama about how she is something else. And it is because of her that the Hawza there is thriving so much. Think about it. Anywhere else, there have been houses in other places as well. But this one was established and remained. What is it that Allah has in mind? How much ihtiram and respect does Allah have for this woman? Which, by the way, we have to remind everybody that this is the Hawza Ilmiya that you can say right now is leading that the Shia Ummah, you can say to a good extent, if not the main Hawza of the Shia world today, is one that revolves around this woman, Fatimatul Ma'suma alayha salam, who died young. It's not that she was that she had grown old and everyone had known about her in her time to the extent that they would know her as a great alimah and a great knowledgeable individual. Yes, without a doubt, the Shia of that time had heard the hadiths, had heard from the other Imams of her rank, of course, and so the Shia of that time revered her greatly. But in the Muslim Ummah at large, not everyone was aware of her status. Only those who might have interacted with her would have seen and noticed that there's something special about her. The point being, she is good proof that when it comes to Islam, what matters is taqwa, what matters is nur, what matters is knowledge. It's not about this color, this race, this ethnicity, this gender, and so on and so forth. What matters in Allah's eyes is something else, without a doubt. And this is something beautiful that we have in the holy city of Qum. As I said, her presence there and her grave there is the origin of many blessings. I just want to touch on one of those today, and just one aspect of it really. We don't have time to speak about Qum and the city of Qum in general, because the city of Qum has huge significance going all the way back to the time of the Imams. And we have hadith for the city of Qum. Ushu Ali Muhammad, for example, it is the nest of Alu Muhammad. It is where Alu Muhammad, the progeny of the Prophet, the Ahlul Bayt, yes, they see that place as a sanctuary. They see that place as a place where their teachings are spreading. There's no doubt. Everyone knows. Back in that day, there was the city of Kufa that housed many Shia and was a source of the emanation of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. And also the city of Qum is known for being one of those capitals from which the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt spread, and the famous ruwat and narrators of hadith that are buried there today. This is one aspect. This is one way to look at Qum as a city over the centuries. Yes, and there's also another way you can look at it, and that is the aspect of the actual seminary that is there today. Where did this come from? How did it come about? Yes, how was it established? Is it something that is this Hawza one that dates back to hundreds of years ago? Is it one that has a whole history behind it? In the sense of an actual seminary, an actual school. That's the way it is established today. Is that the case or not? Well, lots of times people will think that the Hawza of Qum and the seminary of Qum goes back to God knows how long, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Of course, throughout the centuries, yes, there has been academic work done there, and there have been there. You can say that somewhat of a Hawza was there, but it was never seen as something very significant, as something that is carrying that main load of the Shia Ummah, yes, and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, in the sense of training students who will then go and will do tabligh and will spread these teachings even more. It wasn't like this. Maybe in the past, I would say 150 years, maximum 200 years, is where this hawza was actually established. So it is you can kind of say it is a young hawza in the way that it is today. Okay, I really have to emphasize that, yes, before it became that big hawza, that grand hawza. Yes, there was throughout the centuries still things happening there, but nothing like the past 150 maybe or so years ago. If we go back, we will find that it actually all began about 8 to 10 years before the arrival of Ayatollah al-Udma al-Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri. It goes back to that time. This is about, you can say, maybe if you talk about in the solar calendar, the 1300s maybe, or not even the solar, maybe the lunar calendar. I'm not good with dates, but it goes back to about, I think I would say 150 or so years ago, and that's where it all began. So what happens is in Iraq, that's where the Hawza was back then. Now it would go between cities, sometimes Najaf, sometimes Baghdad, and I'm not saying it in chronological order here, of course. Baghdad, Najaf, Hilla for a while, back to Najaf. It would go back and forth between these cities, the main standard bearer of the Hawza. But a time came where some of the ulama and maraja of Iraq felt the need to shift things to Iran. Yes. And so before this major shift took place, there had been some ulama, like a person by the name of Muhammad Taqi Bafqi and others who had tried to, fatten up the Hawza of Qum, to support it, to make it something significant, but they really had not been able to succeed in their endeavors. It reaches a point where a person by the name of Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, and today I will be mentioning some names, and I want all of you to know that these names are big names. Okay, if our kids today, they are when they hear certain athletes' names, they get really hyped up. They love it. Who are the top 5? Who are the top 10 NBA players of all time in your eyes? They will list them for you. The way they get excited when hearing those names or mentioning those names or listing those names in order, a Hawza student will get that excited, if not more, when hearing these names that will be mentioned today. These are the superstars. These are the game changers. Anyway, that first name that we should remember is Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri al-Yazdi. Very, very famous. And so he has moved to Iran from Iraq himself. I'll speak about his credentials in a bit. He had moved from Iraq to Iran, and was staying in the city of Arak, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, was there for a while. And Arak itself had a hawza. That might have been one of the biggest houses of Iran before Qum. Now, I'm saying all of this just to show how Bibi Masoom-e alayhi salam, she just draws people to her. And something that was getting bigger in Arak, because it wasn't just Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri who was there. Later on, we'll get to Ayatollah Brujerdi. Also, he was in Arak. He might have wanted to go to Arak before coming to Qum, although he was in Brujerd. But the point I'm trying to make is this, that Bibi Masooma of Qum, the light that she has, apparently, this is my opinion, I haven't read this anywhere, I personally feel that Allah wanted to highlight her greatness by bringing the Hawza there as well. Or else it was getting bigger and bigger in Iraq with Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri al-Yazdi, who had come from Iraq to Iran and was in the city of Iraq. I don't want us to mix up Iraq with Iraq. Okay, Iraq is a country. Yes, in Arabic they will call it Iraq, but in Iran there's a city called Iraq with a kaf in the end. Okay, that one, the country has an ain and a qaf. This city has a hamza. It begins with a hamza and ends with a kaf. Iraq. Okay. This Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri al-Yazdi, there he is contacted and is requested, can you please go to Qum and help the Bafqis and the others like Faiz al-Qummis, help them, yes, to fix this hawza up and get it bigger than it is and make it something significant. So let me share with you a few of the credentials of this individual before I move on, because we have to understand this is the father of the Hawza Ilmiya of Qum. Yes? A person by the name of Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri. It says here, he was a grand scholar, yes, who for years had been in Samarra and Najaf. So he's Iranian, but of course back then everyone would go to the Hawza in Iraq and study there. Whether it was Najaf, even Samarra for a while was where the Marja'iyya was. So who are his teachers? Sayyid Muhammad Fisharaki Isfahani, one of them. These are big names, by the way. Mirza Muhammad Hassan Shirazi, are you kidding me? That was one of his teachers. The great Shirazi of the tobacco movement. Mirza Shirazi. Akhund Mullah Muhammad Kadhim Khurasani, another huge name that in the Hawza, we study his textbook in year 9 and 10. That means you have to have studied for like 9 years to be able to study his book, kind of. Yeah? Yes, some people can, study faster and they'll get into these books earlier. But so Akhund Khurasani, who originally was Afghan, actually, he is huge. Like today, if a person has not gone through his book, they're not really taken that serious. Right? Hasn't been, it won't be taken that serious. Akhund Khurasani is huge. All right? Sayyid Muhammad Kadhim Tabatabai Yazdi. Those of you who come to Momin regularly, you know, whenever I'm teaching Ahkam in those workshops that we have late night, Ramadan or whenever else, I am holding a book by the name of Al-Urwatul Wuthqa. Yes, who does this belong to? A book that maybe tens upon tens upon tens of maraja who've come after him, they just put their notes on that book. They say we don't even need to write another book. We'll just put our notes on that book wherever we have a difference of opinion. Al-Urwatul Wuthqa. This belongs to who? As-Sayyid Kadhim At-Tabatabai Al-Yazdi. These are like, brothers and sisters, let's just go home, Well, we are at home right now because we're in quarantine. But anyway, let's just go home. Let's pack up and go. Like the person who's a student of these types of people is huge. So he's been this Ha'iri al-Yazdi, Shaykh Abdul Karim, Ha'iri Yazdi, the father of Hawza of Qum, who, because he's the father, they call him al-Shaykh al-Mu'assis, meaning the one who established, the establisher of the Hawza of Qum. These are his credentials. And it says that he studied in Karbala for years as well, for a good amount of time, until he eventually moved to Iraq in Iran, the city of Iraq. All right. So he is contacted, can you go? And he accepts and he goes. Now, once he comes to the Hawza, those who were taking care of the Hawza, of course, they say, thank you for coming. Here you go. They hand it to him. And of course, he has those skills. He has those experiences to manage the Hawza. And so I'm going to share with you about 4 things that I have here that kind of solidified, that really made that Hawza grow and contributed to it becoming bigger and bigger. Number 1, when the big teacher goes, the students come with him. Who are the students of Ayatollah Uzma al-Ha'iri al-Yazdi? Who are with him in Iraq, in that city of Iraq, which is to the kind of southwest of Qum. It's about maybe a 2-hour drive or something with car. Who are his students? Imam Khomeini, Sayyid Muhammad Rida al-Gulpaygani, huge. Who else do we have? Taqi Khansari, which we'll get to later, he's huge as well. Sayyid Taqi al-Khansari. Sayyid Ahmad al-Khansari, another huge person who in the haram of Bibi Masoom-e-Qum is buried next to Allama Tabatabai, one of the great urafa himself he was, and maraja and mujtahideen of his time. So the students that he brings, because when a sheikh goes somewhere, They have to take their students with them, or else they really can't do much. A sheikh on his own, a scholar on his own won't be able to do much. They need help from others, whether it's students that can help in teaching, financial help, whatever it is, or else things won't work. And so he brings this team with him. Yes, they move to Qom as well. So now Qom is starting to grow. And then, as I said, he has strength in managing the Hawza. And that causes even more teachers from Isfahan and other places to also move to Qom. Now, what happens is, what really helps, and I had to look into this a little bit, was interesting. I didn't know this myself. Even grand Maraja of Najaf of that day, something happened, it's a long story, where they left Iraq and they showed their objection to some things that were happening in Iraq. They left Iraq for Iran. They kind of exiled themselves, although that's not the right way of putting it. They had no choice but to leave. These two are some of those names that when you say them, yes, you cannot. A Hawzawi will tremble at their name being mentioned because of their greatness. The great Sayyid Abul Hasan al-Isfahani and the great Shaykh Mirza Muhammad Hussein al-Na'ini. Oh, like these guys, these people were huge in Najaf, but they had to leave Najaf and come to Iran. Yes, it was kind of a protest that they had. And they came to Iran for a year. They were in Qom too. And when they came, Sheikh Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri gives his teaching seat, gives his teaching position to these greats. He says, you teach. And he encourages his students to go and sit and benefit from them. Now, this is very important. It shows the humility of this individual as well. We have to understand this. This is something you do not see every day. Normal sheikhs sometimes won't be able to get along. These are maraja, each of them. Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri is not a nobody. And he's been there before them and he is teaching. But when they come, he says, he gives it to them. He says, you all teach and let the people benefit. This is wonderful. That's something that we can all take inspiration from. And so they teach for a year before Iraq asks them to come back and kind of apologizes maybe for what it's done. As I said, that's a long story itself. There's a lot of politics happening in those days, both in Iraq and in Iran, by the way. Lots of politics happening. The king of that time, when these Maraja of Najaf come, brothers and sisters, Abul Hasan al-Isfahani is not a small name. Na'ini is not a small name. Abul Hasan Isfahani for the longest time was the marja of the Shia world. Yes? Ayatollah Bahjat was in his taqleed. It's interesting. There's some stories about that. Ayatollah Bahjat, yes, there are some stories. He had to stop his irfan and going to his teacher Allama Qadi because of a fatwa that his marja had, which was Abul Hasan al-Isfahani. These are big things, man. These are, it really, I don't know if you can see how happy I am right now. These names and the stories that come with them are really, really beautiful. Anyway, Abul Hasan al-Isfahani is huge. Na'ini is huge. So when they come, even the king of Iran, who was from the Qajar dynasty back then, which slowly died out after a little short while after that. The king of Iran even comes to Qom on one occasion to congratulate the actual opening and the establishment of the Hawza of Qom. Yes, and at the same time, a second time he comes when these grand maraja, brothers and sisters, I don't know how much more, how I can explain, how can I can highlight this any more than I have. These are grand maraja, right? It's like saying, like if we're here in Dallas, for example, it's like saying, I don't know, Ayatollah Uzma, I don't know, Makarim is coming to Dallas. Like that's big news. That's huge news. Ayatollah Uzma Shubairi Zanjani is coming to Dallas. Like what? Oh my God. Okay. Something like that. That's how much of an honor it was. And so the king even goes to pay his respects. All of these things contribute. I mean, we're living in the social media age. You know what I'm saying? You take a selfie with this person, that person. Oh my God, how much clout you get on social media. The fact that the Hawza of Qum has the king come and visit it. The king, why didn't the king visit before? Huh? Why did the king not visit before Ha'iri al-Yazdi, before Abu al-Hasan al-Isfahani and al-Na'ini coming there? Why not? It's because these figures were there that he comes. And so that itself brings credibility even more. That, whoa, this is some big stuff. And so Qum is starting to get established. The Hawza of Qum, not the city of Qum. If you remember, I discerned between these two. The city of Qum has always been there, but the Hawza of Qum, the way it is today and what it has grown to today, slowly starts getting established. People are talking about it more and more. As time passes, more and more students come. This is a place that barely had anybody. Barely had anybody. But now it says, after 15 years of Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri doing what he did, those golden years that he was in charge, before, of course, Reza Pahlavi's dictatorship, because that itself is another story, and the Qajar dynasty, being overthrown through a coup that had the British maybe involved in it, most probably. In those golden years, yes, it says that the students of that Hawza reached the number of somewhere between 700 to 900 students back then, about 100 something years ago. This Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, he had the most important teaching seat in Qum. He would teach in the Faydiyah, that place where has so much history in it, that so much blood has been shed even during Imam Khomeini's time, how many students were killed there, and so on. He used to teach in Faydiyah. That's why it's an honor when you walk in the Faydiyah, you know you're walking where lots of history has happened, lots of scholarship. The Taba'is have walked here, and others have walked here. Abdul Karim al-Ha'iris have walked here. Imam Khomeinis have walked here. Imam Khomeinis have lived in here. Yes, in this Faydiyah, that Hawza that's attached to Bibi Masoom-e-Qum, her haram, right next to there. Okay. He would try his best to take care of the living conditions of the Hawza students. This is an important thing, actually. This has always been a problem, that people think that a Hawza student doesn't have any needs. Yes, of course they will be low maintenance. Of course they won't really care too much about the glamour, the flashy stuff and all of that. But at the end of the day, there are needs. And so these maraja, these grand maraja, they were the ones who would take care of the Hawza students. This, I want to share one story with regarding Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, and then we're going to move on. Okay? Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, one of my friends told me once, I haven't read this story anywhere myself, but he was very close to a person by the name of Muhammad Rida al-Hakimi, his name is. He's a Tafkiki grand scholar. Those of you know what Tafkik is. I don't want to get into that either. He says that Muhammad Rida Hakimi said that back in the day, and this Muhammad Rida Hakimi, by the way, he has a long white beard and white hair. He's old. He said that Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri back then, now this is crazy, I want you to pay attention here. Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri back then, he made it incumbent upon the students to start learning English. Wow. Think about it. The Hawza of 150 years ago, maybe 120 years ago, however much it is. Yes, 110 years ago. I don't know exactly the number. Think about it. The Hawza of that time, if they had been working on English since then till today, yes, think about where we would be as Shia today. Think about it. And this is, out of my whole talk today, if you take this away, that's enough for me. Okay? That's all that matters to me. Because there's a lesson for us today as people who are Shias, who want Shiism to grow. We want our children to have Shiism and so on. Yeah? And our future generations. He made it incumbent about 100 years ago, let's say. Okay? That you have to learn English. He understood that this is a need. Wow. But guess what? Guess what? the people of that day, those ones who were well off, the ones who are supposed to support the system, the ones who are supposed to support those who are of knowledge, those who are supposed to support the marja'iyya, the ones who pay their khums, for example, for the furthering of the agenda of the Shia ulama, yeah, to further push that agenda forward, excuse me, yeah. These people, Muhammad Reza Hakimi says this, they showed up to Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri and they told him, they said, what is this nonsense? What is this astaghfirullah stuff that you're teaching, that you want these Hawza students to learn? If you're going to teach them these things too on the side, language, English language, then we will not pay our khums to you anymore. Yes, this has always been the case, that one of those things that the people will use to sway and to impose their will on marja'iyya even is the matter of money and funds. And so they did that. And whether it was the English language or the French language, I don't remember, but what I do remember is that he told me English, not even French, because back then French was big too, especially in Iran. But now, but what I remember is that it was English. Now, they did that, and he eventually had no choice. He had to take it back. He had to take it back and said, okay, we won't teach them these things. These are tools. A marja' taqreed has to be followed. And when it comes to these things, Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, we will listen to you except for here. This is the one case we won't listen to you. The same way to Burujerdi, the scholar will get to next. With Burujerdi, they did the same thing. They said, we will follow you one day, 364 days of the year, but we won't follow you on the day of Ashura, what you think we should be doing. We're doing what we think we should do. This has always been the case. Yes, the people of knowledge, because they don't have the power sometimes or the funds, they have no choice but to get along with the not, I don't want to say zalimeen, with the dumb ones, the ones who have no foresight and no insight. Yeah. So this is Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri. Let's move on. What happens is Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri, when he passes away, the Hawza is left without someone to without a custodian again. And for about 8 years or so, 3 of his students, namely Ayatollah Uzma, Sayyid Hujjat Kuh Kamarei, and Sayyid Taqi Khansari, and I forgot the last one, Sayyid Sadruddin as-Sadr. These 3, they get together. These are grand maraji' themselves too. After Shaykh al-Ha'iri passes away, these are the grand maraji' of their time. They get together. They're not as good as him though. And so, but they say, let's try our best to take care of things as much as we can. And so they try. I don't want to talk about each of these individuals. Who was Sayyid Hujjat Kuh Kamari? Well, all I'll say is this. There's a huge hawza in Qum, in the middle of the city, by the name of Hujjatiyeh. Yes, there's a hawza called Hawza Hujjatiyeh. And I remember back then when I had gone, they would say that's one of the places where lots of the smart students go. His hawza has been there till today for 100 years. Sayyid Taqi Khansari, he's the one with the famous rain salat story, when the British had come into Qum and they were even watching, and the rain prayer that he did and all of that. I don't want to get into that either. I don't know, Sayyid Sadruddin al-Sadr, for example. Once again, they had the best teachers in Najaf. Yes, the Sayyid Qadim al-Yazdis and the likes of Ziyauddin al-Iraqi and so on. They had the best teachers. Sayyid Sadruddin al-Sadr, who is he? He's the father of Imam Musa al-Sadr. Rahmatullah alayh, if he's passed away, which he probably has, but we still don't know of his whereabouts. He was, they kidnapped him in Libya. Unfortunately, we haven't heard of him for the past 30-something years now. These 3, the Maraji' al-Thalath, al-Maraji' al-Thalath, these 3, they took over, but for 7-8 years, they were struggling. It reached the point, especially with the pressure the Pahlavi dynasty was putting on them, it says that it reached a point where they only had like 400 students in the Hawza of Qum. So things are going down again. And so now we have that grand marja, Ayatollah Uzma Sayyid Muhammad Hussein al-Burujerdi, who has also come from Iraq and now is residing in Burujerd, yes, which is about 3 hours away from Qom. They reach out to him and they know, and for him, I can't get into him about what his credentials were, how great he was. I can't get into that. There's no time for it. All I will say is, brothers and sisters, with the arrival of Burujerdi, everything started getting better. And so Burujerdi, in the 1320s, which is about 75 years ago, he comes, and it reaches a point in the 1340s. When I say 1340s, I'm talking about the solar calendar. That's about 75 years ago. It reaches a point where the Hausa has about 8,700 students, and then all the way till today, where we have tens of thousands of students in Qom from all across the globe. Yes, things aren't perfect there. Yes, things can be better. But all in all, we see that the light emanating from that person that is buried in Qom, has the rays of that light have reached us here in America, even the farthest parts of the world and points of the world away from that place. Those rays have reached this part of the world. This is what I mean when I say, and this is what should be understood when I say that Bibi Masooma, her light didn't just extend to the people of Qom or Iran or Iraq or the Middle East or that part of the world. No, today even, where we have scholarship anywhere in the world, at the end of the day, the blessing of Bibi Masooma being buried in Qom. I don't have time. I was going to go through some of the sayings of our greats. I'll just share one with you that I'm a big fan of, and then I will end. And that is Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli. He says that when I went to my teacher, Shaykh Muhammad Taqi Amuli. Muhammad Taqi Amuli is one of the 3 students of Allama Qadi, by the way. Allama Qadi had 3, let's say, generations of students. One generation, the top was Shaykh Muhammad Taqi Amuli. Another generation was Ayatollah Bahjat. Another generation was Allama Tabatabai. Of course, Allama Tabatabai was before Ayatollah Bahjat. But this is how great Shaykh Muhammad Taqi Amuli is. Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli says, I went to him to say goodbye because I was moving to Qom to study. And so he says that my Muhammad Taqi Amuli told me, go, the Karimeh Ahl Bayt is buried there. Yes, that this grave is not a normal grave. Greats are buried there. Maraji are buried there. Hukama, ulama, fuqaha, usuliyun are all buried there. The grave of the daughter of Musa ibn Ja'far alayhim as-salam is buried there. Is there. Excuse me. And then he says this, that this grave is the origin of thousands of barakat. And then Ayatollah Jawadi says this. Ayatollah Jawadi says, there have been times I have personally experienced that those hard books of Jawahir al-Kalam, for example, of Sheikh Hassan al-Najafi, which is one of those books that you read in Dars al-Kharij for fiqh, or books like Asfar of Mullah Sadra and these kinds of things. He says, these books, when I study them when I'm in Qom, he says, it's one thing. When I go to other cities, for example, in the summer when it gets really hot in Qom, these ulama, some of them have to go somewhere else where it's a little bit cooler. He says, when I go to other cities, I would see that I am going at a slower pace of understanding these deep, hard books that we have to study. When I'm in Qom, it's no problem. It's easy. But when I go outside of Qom, yes, things are much harder. Not only is it easy to understand, a lot of other things, my mind just works so good in understanding, putting pieces together, yes, being creative and things like that. But when you go outside of Qom, yes, what happens is that same barakah is not there. He says, without a doubt, this is not takalluf, he says. Ta'aruf neist. Yeah? Inha na ta'aruf ast, na majaz ast. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not speaking metaphorically. Na khudai nakarde khurafat ast. It's not superstition. This is reality, Ayatollah Jawadi says that this barakah is there even when you are studying. Personally, as I said, there is a reason why the Hawza Ilmiya of Qom ended up where it ended up. That light, that gravitational pull of Bibi Masooma alayhi salam pulled the Hawza there, because that would be where her light will have that effect. Her grave will have that effect on the people that go there. The lovers of Ahlul Bayt, the lovers of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, lovers of knowledge will go so that they can develop intellectually and so that they can return to their people and share this knowledge that they have acquired. I thank all of you for tuning in. May Allah give us the tawfiq to learn from these Ahlul Bayt, to get a little bit of that light in one way or another, directly, indirectly, and inshallah gives us the tawfiq to have their ziyarah in this life and the shafa'ah of them in the afterlife. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah, Sheikh, and would like to thank you for a terrific speech, Sheikh. Thank you for enlightening us with all this details. This is amazing details that how the Raza Ilmi of Qum has taken and how has it's grown. So thank you again, Sheikh, for a terrific speech. It has enlightened us quite a bit. Inshallah, we will resume with additional programs for the week, and we will be sending out information on it. With this, we would like to conclude the program for tonight. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.